KTRS.
721 at the Big 550 KTRS. Well, we've known for quite a while that the Rams owner wants to abandon our town and take the football team to Los Angeles and put it in the new Stan Kroenke Stadium in Inglewood. But there are certain hoops that you have to jump through in the National Football League before you can abandon a town. And so last night, the NFL Dog and Pony Show came through with no Stan Kroenke or anybody with that last name on the roster, but about 1,500 fans and a couple of people from the Rams and Peacock and Blitz, the guys who are the head of the NFL committee here in St. Louis, or rather the new stadium committee here in St. Louis, and also some media people, including our own Martin Kilcoyne, who joins me now. Good morning, Martin.
Paul, how are you?
Good. So did this Dog and Pony Show change anything?
I think that's still the billion-dollar question. My guess going into it wouldn't change anything. One thought might be, if I'm part of that panel, there were 4 different executives from the league office in New York, there's no doubt that they would walk away from that saying, boy, there's passion for football here. There's plenty of, examples of that on this Tuesday night at the Peabody. But boy, do they hate Stan Kroenke. And not that you should be surprised at that, but I think the level of venom or the tone there, and, is there any part of them that goes back to New York and says, I don't think we can make this work? Now, in the end, it's going to still come down to money. I did have Eric Grubman is sort of the point man who 6 months ago, 8 months ago, none of us knew who he was, cared who he was, but he works with Roger Goodell, and his whole job, he's the point man on the Los Angeles opportunities. And I said to him after the event, I said, this has been viewed in St. Louis by many as a dog and pony show. And he said, I don't show up for dog and pony shows. So they talk the talk. Whether or not it has a real impact, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, he does show up for dog and pony shows. He's doing it here. He's going to do it in Oakland. He's going to do it in San Diego, right?
Right. But his point, I guess, is that it has meaning, that we're not just doing this to waste our time. But throughout the night, the fan base there did a great job asking the right questions. Sure, there were some folks who just made statements and were really emotional about their team, but a lot of folks just hammered away on the league's own guidelines and what they have written up as a league that say you can't leave your home market without making every effort, engaging in the process, and trying to work it out. And that was a theme throughout the night, where the fans were just sort of reminding the liaisons for the NFL that basically that has not happened here. And any comment that says Stan's tried to make it work is a joke. And that, I think that was a theme that was repeated. And whether that echoes in New York, I'm not sure either.
But didn't Grubman tell the crowd last night, look, we don't have any actual hard and fast rules here. We do have relocation guidelines, but it's up to the 32 billionaire owners, right?
Yeah, it sounds like, and the more you hear it, there'd be a few more jeers or boos from the crowd, that the guidelines themselves are more of suggestions. This is a pathway to letting them. But they've also said in the past, the guidelines themselves are there for the owners, but if an owner doesn't like the proposal in a home city, that's a reason they could move. They seem a little flimsy. And one of the fans got up and said, listen, this is a league that's built on rules. Every Sunday there's flagstone and there's rules. And a player in Pittsburgh is being fined because he's putting his dad's name on his face, and that's against the rules, as stupid as that is. He said, so you have all these rules, but yet when it comes to a multi-billion-dollar transaction, it's just a suggestion, which I thought was a great point.
That is a great point.
Did anyone talk about the funding and how we've been in the dark about all of this? That they've left us in the dark, the task force?
Well, a lot of what they said was, hey, it's not our job to figure out how you build a stadium. It's not our job to decide whether you stay or go. There's a whole process that plays out. As far as St. Louis's current effort, okay, this stadium that may get pushed through the Board of Aldermen, where is it at? One thing post-event that I thought was interesting, Grubman said, well, we're still working on it. People said, well, what is it about this current project? He said, well, it's not completed yet. The voting is not, the funding's not complete. And he said, we have these term sheets that were turned into us. And he said, we're currently working on that. And somebody said, well, would the Rams weigh in? And he said, well, if a team chooses not to engage, then we handle it for them, which was pretty clear that the Rams have no interest in making it work, and the league is sort of doing their due diligence by at least handling the back and forth. But as far as where that money's coming from, I guess that's not exactly, Grooveman's job. Now, Dave Peacock and Bob Litch were there at the beginning and sort of had the heroes welcome, and it was a pep rally feel. It was just a weird tone because I think the crowd wanted to be polite. These folks aren't Stan Kroenke. They're not the ones moving their team potentially. But I think there was a lot of anger there, too. So they weren't quite sure how to do that dance of, hey, we're good Midwestern folks that want you to enjoy our town, but, boy, we'd love to yell at somebody.
I read a quote from Cynthia Hogan, who's a public policy senior vice president of the league, who last night said, quote, "It's hard for me to imagine there's a city in the United States that has a better fan base," unquote. And I laughed at that, Martin, because if you were from Major League Baseball and you were talking about the St. Louis Cardinals, I'd agree with you 100%. We have the best fans in baseball. We do not have the best fans in football, partly because we have a team that in the 20 years it's been here has only had 4 good seasons, but also because we have management that has told the citizens of this town, essentially, you don't matter. If you were going to make a list of the best fan bases in football, would we even be close to, I don't know, say Green Bay?
Yeah, I would say that there's going to be arguments this morning from Steeler fans and Packer fans and Patriot fans. Listen, a big theme last night was that this market has been sort of defecated on in terms of the product and in terms of the connect with the franchise and the owner being disinterested. I don't know if she was caught up in the moment or if she has a script and she's going to roll it out again in San Diego and Oakland.
Yeah.
But my guess is she just kind of got caught up in the moment. But as nice as it sounded for a few seconds, I think even the guy there wearing his Warner jersey or Falk jersey would turn and say, well, we're probably not the best. I mean, that seemed a little bit over the top.
Nice try at pandering, but that one didn't quite work.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could look at that crowd and say, listen, you guys are passionate. This is great to hear these stories. We'll do our best to convey what we're hearing tonight back to the leadership or whatever. But, yeah, best fans, she forgot that the B-fib is reserved for what happens down at Busch Stadium.
Yeah. The last thing I want to ask you about is whether there were any protesters who didn't want the Rams to stay here because it's just going to cost too much money to build the new stadium.
There was one moment, so the event lasted 3 hours. It was lengthy, and I would say it was really lively and entertaining, but after about an hour and a half, it dragged a little bit. So from my TV duties, we had to go outside and do some editing, and I was told, I didn't witness it, but the only form of protest was some folks who had signs that said fund schools, not stadiums. That was what I was aware of. So I didn't see any other uprising. There was a guy running around in a Stan jersey. It was a Rams jersey with Suck It Stan on the back instead of Warner or Falk. I don't know that he ever made his way to the podium.
Yeah, I think I saw him going into the Dome last weekend.
Yeah, he was not a featured speaker. So, it was an interesting spectacle, that's for sure. The Peabody's had a lot of unique events, but none like that. Does it matter long term? I still think greed wins out in this league. It always does. And if somebody else's deal makes more sense, they'll take it if Stan's money matters most. But I thought the crowd tried to throw in one more element. And you can leave and get on your charter jet, but I thought they felt or threw a little guilt in their direction. If you do this, just know what you're doing and know how wrong it is. Like a good grandmother or somebody, I think they did a good job layering the guilt.
Yeah, and then the billionaires went back to counting their money and making their plans without any regard for what the public wants. What a surprise. All right, Martin will have a lot more on this on his show today from 10 till noon here on the Big 550 KTRS. And, of course, he's sports director over at Fox 2. Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, we have just a slight interest in whether they stay or go at Fox.
Yeah, there's a few dollars tied up in that.
As the whole of the Rams, we're slightly interested in this whole process. But, hey, listen, I get all the skepticism. I'm with you, Paul, but maybe there's another miracle. I don't know. But I think at this point, the surprise would be if they stay. I think we're all at that point. There's no doubt.
Get used to saying the following phrase: Fox 2, the home of the Inglewood Rams.
And that's a debate for another day. Should you show the games if they leave town? Let's talk about that another day.
Yeah, can't we get some good games instead? Ooh. Thank you, Martin. Talk to you later.
All right, see you, Paul.
7:31 of the Big 550 KTRS.
You can install